Now, a lot of my books are on my website, thebrainchildexhibition.weebly.com, and if you go under the fashion industry tab and go 3 down, it's called recommended reading. I've linked the titles and the images of those front cover of those books to Amazon.ca for the most part, and that way you can see the full retail price and ones that are used. So I'm not going to go through all the prices, I'm just going to go through them really quick. I have a couple of costume history books. This is the earlier version I got used. This is the one that I recommend though. So, costume history, if you're the kind of person who's going to do Renaissance fairs or historical film or theater or anything like that, it's not just about the costumes, it's also about the lifestyle. So, you know, racism, black segregation, women weren't allowed to vote, the Industrial Revolution, what art was influential at that time period, what political events or the Black Plague or anything like that that was affecting history, that's going to be in this book. And it's also going to have a list of all the costume items that they had, what their names are, how they became known by those names, just like everything to do with history of costume is going to be in this bad boy. So that sucker's really, really thick. Of course, I'm not really super interested in history of costume. Except for a reference, so I like this book. This is from the collection of the Kyoto Costume Institute, and it's a series of 2 books. I swiped this up at a book sale, and I could not believe it. I'm so excited. So if I open this bad boy up, look at this. Just pictures and pictures and pictures, and there's only a little bit of description. So, if I can find you a really nice picture. Look at this. It gives you nice big close-ups. So you can see all the stuff that just went into making these garments. So they have the small pictures and then they have the nice big close-ups so you can see what's gone into this. Because if you're going to the museum, it's probably going to be some distance away, so you can't really get a close-up. They don't necessarily let you take pictures in the museums. They won't let you use flash because they're obviously historically accurate. Those are actually antiques. So flash is going to degrade the artifacts. So I mean, books like these from the museums that have pictures of all their artifacts or their special collections that came in, those are the ones to go for. If you want to know about the fashion industry, how it all works, I'm not talking about like being a business person, but rather just how it works. This one covers the fashion fundamentals. Fundamentals, yes. So, target demographics, the Industrial Revolution, how that changed it, how the internet changed fashion industry. So all the textiles, manufacturing, retailing, everything to do with that is going to be in here. And this is, again, on the Brainchild exhibition. Now, if you want to get into starting your own fashion business, there is a special book for that. Fashion Entrepreneurship Retail Business Planning. I am not a big business person. I find that kind of bores me. So I actually would prefer to get someone who's business savvy, who likes fashion, so then they could be the person who does all the business planning and stuff, and then I can do the creativity process. So it's all up to you. And if you're going to expand globally, the cultures and the countries around the world have a lot of different customs, so you're definitely going to need to invest in a book that helps you explain this. This is Perry's Department Store. It's a simulation, so it gives you a rough idea on what you have to consider, and it just gives you an example of jeans. So what countries and what you should look for, the customs, how to go about doing your business, importing, exporting, customs, all that kind of stuff is going to be covered in this book. Most of these books actually have CDs, so that's another thing that's really good. This I swiped up from Chapters during one of their sales. This was like $5 on sale. It's 19.99 pounds. 19 pounds. So I don't know if this is on the Brainchild exhibition, but it doesn't have any other price. I'm sorry. But there are really good books. Make sure it has a whole bunch of pictures. I like that it has like all of them. So this is weaving, felt making, quilting, knitting, and crochet. So if I want to make fabrics, it teaches me how, and it does a whole bunch of different projects to make sure it covers all the basics that you're going to need. So then you have the techniques to apply it to your own personal projects. Now some of these I don't have notebooks for, because or books for, because they were optional if you needed them. This is just my notebook for pattern grading and pattern making on the computer on Gerber. So I have a couple books that people suggested. See, this is the program. You can see that right there. You have to know your fabrics. So this is a really, really good book. There are differences between knits and wovens, and there's finishes, and there's different kinds of weaves and knits, and just everything to do with making sure that you pick the right textile for whatever your project is or whatever you're sewing and manufacturing and selling. So, and then this gets really hands-on with this bad boy. This is a Fabric Science swatch kit. This is the 8th edition. They keep updating it. So what they give you is a whole bunch of worksheets to give you some tests and get you to learn all your fabrics, and then they go back in here and they give you all the swatches, and then you have to number them and put them all together and put all the information down. So that way I always have this reference for what's a knit, what's a woven, what's, different types of fabric. So it doesn't cover a lot, but if you want to get more in depth, you can always see about working at it. Another good sewing book that we used during school was Reader's Digest, and this one again has a lot of pictures, all the different steps. Really, really, really good, and I highly suggest this one because it has just about everything, and not just like, oh, how to put a zipper in. It's got like everything from like designer level, which is really, really advanced, because then you get into putting bias tape on all your seam allowance and all that stuff. So this is covered in here. Pattern grading. Again, I don't have a book, but I do have my notes. Pattern grading, if I show you this. So you have your, all your, your charts. So there's different circumferences and how big you want it to be from the different sizes. And then I have all my worksheets on what these different points is on those blocks and how to make it bigger. So if I come up with a really good pattern grading book, I will put it on there if it hasn't been on there already. So if you're going into manufacturing, you're going to need different sizes. Therefore, you will need to know how to pattern grade. And again, you can do it manually or you can do it on the computer. Okay, these are two of my pattern making books. This is my 4th edition. Now they upgraded to the 5th edition for the kids that were following us the year after, who are now in the final year, and they found that this one had a lot more stuff. They wish they had this one. The other one was spiral bound and kind of like a binder. It's missing a lot of information. So from all that, I would highly suggest getting this one. And it comes with a CD in the back. And if I go back here, it has all your blocks for you. So don't cut these out, but trace them off. Don't make them any bigger or smaller, and put them on bristle board and use those for all your stuff. Also, if you need, those are half size blocks. So if you need full size blocks, in the book it'll actually show you how to make it, and you can actually do it to your own size if you are not like a 6 all the way through from your bust, your hip, and your waist, and all that stuff. So not everything is covered in pattern making books, so our professors have created a couple of manuals. This is outerwear, this one is swimwear, and that's by our professor Carol Toop. If you're looking for these very specific ones, they're going to be at the Fanshawe College bookstore. Stay tuned for part 2. Bye!